ReefDVMs coming at you today with one of our latest projects. That's putting up fence posts. And in this situation, we decided to take a different slant at it. Went over to Minnesota Equipment, our local John Deere dealer, and we rented a hammer. The SM40 model with tilt for about $300 for the weekend. Typically when we put in fence posts, way back when I was a kid, we used to do it with a hand post hole digger. And then, of course, as I've aged, I upgraded to an auger, and now this time I'm upgrading to a hammer. I'm taking these 8 to 9 foot posts, AC2 treated. These things are beastie suckers. These things are 8 to 9 feet long, 6 to 8 inch diameter. Taking them with the big 5083E and putting them out in the field. And then typically, if we were doing this by hand, this would be probably a 3-day project. If we're doing it with an auger, it'd probably be a 9 to 8 hour project. But this time again, we rented this hammer driver, and we're driving them into the July clay, 4 feet, maybe 4.5 feet, with the 320D, and we're literally doing 80 of these things in 3.5 hours. I was just impressed. This is the cab view. It's got a lot of visibility. This particular model has a grapple on it, so you can pick it up without any assistance, and certainly you could bang these in without any assistance. Being that my neighbor and I are doing this together, it was easy to work as a two-person team. I personally kind of recommend it. I think you can actually even be faster than what the grapple can do as far as setting up and getting level and beating these into the ground correctly. One thing this machine does allow is it has tilt, and of course you can go forward and back with your skid to position it. I found that to be really helpful in trying to get these straight. Some of us farmers still have kind of a analness about our posts looking nice, so this machine certainly allowed us to do that. The one thing you'll see me kind of getting underneath it with a level and kind of checking as it's going down. Obviously the operator's manual tells you to wear a helmet and not get under the machine while it's operating. But this machine was very safe. These are strong posts and I took my risk. I am wearing eye and ear protection, and again, as a two-person team, we were really able to just move through these posts. This ground is dry, it's hard. These posts are not pointed, they're just flat end posts. I believe this machine could take a 9-inch by 9-inch square post and beat it into the ground. It's literally picking up a 300-pound weight with a chain drive running off like a hydraulic gear motor, and the chain drive lifts up this great big 300 pounds, and then as the little stop at the top comes around to make its next rotation, it lets go of that 300-pound weight, and she slides down the tube and smashes into that post. Fantastic design, because technically, even though it's run by hydraulics, it's not actually a hydraulic piston moving it up and down, so it's very efficient. You can run it on probably quite a bit smaller skid steer than what I'm using here, and I tell you, this skid steer did great with it. We pounded in 3.5 hours 80 of these posts. It was just awesome to do. It actually made the job quite fun. I mean, 2.5 minutes and your post is in, and I'm working on other things such as getting the next one ready and getting my bracing up and ready. So it was fantastic, the amount of speed we gained from this, especially in this hard clay, which is really quite miserable to dig in, and it certainly has gotten an auger or two stuck on my property and been a kind of a miserable soil over the years when it comes to at least putting in fence posts. The one thing I can tell you though about this machine is it's a little bit on the heavy side. Certainly you'd want a skid steer with at least enough counterbalance to hold it up. Probably any of the 300 series John Deeres would do it. Certainly any of the track skid steers would be able to, manipulate this machine. I'm very glad we were able to rent it. I'm glad Minnesota Equipment had it for rent. I'm told these machines are $8,000 to $10,000. I'd never be able to make that pay, so spending $300 on a weekend to bang in 80 posts, well worth the money, folks. I'd highly recommend it. The nicest part about this is that when you get done banging in the post, you don't have any backfill. You don't have any concrete to pour in and set. You don't have to brace any post to make it through the night's weather while the concrete sets up and holds. We're out here working in a 10 to 15 mile an hour wind, and these posts are rock solid the second we pull the machine off it. That is just nice. There's just nothing nicer than that. They're in 4.5 feet, which is just about our frost line, which then allows them to stay in through the frost and not get pushed up. What more can I say? It was a fantastic rental. I'd highly recommend, if you have to bang in a lot of posts, consider one of these hammers, folks. 2.5 minutes later, you've got a post in the ground if you got a skid steer. Fantastic machine. Please like or subscribe our channel. We'll keep putting out great farm videos like this. Thank you, folks.